Tiffany Cloud, and welcome to Storm Politics. Thank you for watching today on WYLN TV, and a special thanks to the troops watching online at WYLNTV.com. Today's guest has practiced law for over a quarter of a century, has prosecuted over 10 homicides, and most recently served as lead counsel on a case where he obtained a first-degree murder conviction. He is presently co-counsel prosecuting Hazleton's double homicide case. He is endorsed by every one of Hazleton's Fraternal Order of Police associations, the Wyoming Valley Fraternal Order of Police, the Chiefs of Police Association, and the Pennsylvania Narcotics Officer Association. It's my distinct honor to interview attorney Dick Hughes, candidate for Luzerne County Judge, right after the break. Hello and welcome back to Storm Politics. I am joined today by attorney Dick Hughes, a candidate for Luzerne County Judge. Thanks you for joining.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I'm happy to have you, Dick. You know, I needed oxygen practically after that intro. You have quite a lot of endorsements from the police and some tremendous credentials.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I've practiced a long time in the district attorney's office. I have a lot of good friends. I work hand in hand with the police, so I was really honored to pick up all those endorsements in this election.
Yeah, well, I have to tell the folks, because I always like to share if I know my guest, and Dick Hughes and I have been very good friends, and Dick's a good friend of the family for many, many years. But one of the things Dick knows about me, you know, if I like somebody, or if I know somebody, or if somebody is a certain gender, that's not why I vote, Dick. I vote for people because they are qualified, because they are experienced, because of their credentials, because of their integrity. And when I look at you stacked up versus many of the others running, you just really stand out.
Well, thanks a lot, and I know that you are a person who looks forward and will not just vote because we're friends. Yeah, I've had a very good career so far. I started, as you said in the intro, over 25 years ago. I came back to practice with my dad, who had an established practice, a general practice, and I was fortunate enough to practice with him for 5 years before he died, and we handled a lot of civil litigation and a lot of real estate work and banking work. And thanks then in 1988 to Hazleton's own Coriel Stevens, who had open interviews, which was something I think unheard of for the district attorney's office. He allowed anyone to apply. I had no political connections, and I interviewed, and he gave me my shot in the DA's office, and that's been incredibly rewarding and really got me going on my litigation side of my practice.
Well, and tell me a bit, I mean, a breadth of knowledge about the law and understanding a breadth of areas in the law must be incredibly important if you're running for judge, as I would imagine having courtroom experiences. Yeah,
really, to hit the ground running, if you're going to step in and essentially manage a courtroom, which is what you're going to be doing, it's very important to have had trial experience, I believe. And also, if you've been fortunate enough to have a wide range of practice areas, that's helpful too. There's not an area that would come before me that I haven't practiced in at some point during my career. So when I go in there, that gives you a certain confidence that you will be able to step up to the plate immediately and not have any learning as you go along.
Where did you go to law school?
I went to Washington Lee University down in Lexington, Virginia.
And what's so fascinating is now you met your wife in, was it law school?
In law school, yes. She's from Mississippi and relocated here when we got married, and she has loved northeastern Pennsylvania. And she's not a practicing lawyer right now. She heads up the Wilkes Small Business Development Center and teaches, but she did practice for many years. Well,
and I think that says a lot about you, though, the fact that you're strong enough in your own skin, that you have a woman who's independent and able to stand on her own 2 feet and has a law degree in her own right.
Well, she's a wonderful girl.
She is. She's a lovely lady. In fact, just yesterday, she and I and Representative Tara Toohill were all together at a Chamber of Commerce luncheon, women's networking luncheon down at Valley Country Club, and we had a wonderful time together. I really enjoyed her company.
Yeah, she told me she saw you there. She said it was terrific. Really fun.
It was great. In addition to having a fabulous wife, you have a terrific family. Can you tell the folks a bit about that?
Yeah, Ruthie and I have 3 children, 2 of whom are in college. Our oldest is at Washington Lee, going into her senior year, and she's this summer teaching mathematics up in Connecticut. Then we have our daughter Ellen, who's going to be a junior at Lafayette, and she is a biology major. she's working this summer as well out at Whitewater Challengers. And then we have Richard the Fourth, who's bringing up the rear. He's 13, and he's doing all the things a 13-year-old likes, playing lacrosse and tennis and hanging out all summer and going to camps. So we have a terrific family. We really are blessed.
Yeah, you do. They're great kids, and it's certainly a testament to both you and your wife.
Well, thank you.
The other interesting things, and something that you and I share in common, is that we both grew up around people who are military men. Could you tell the folks a bit about your dad?
Yeah, my dad was retired military. He had fought in the 101st Airborne in World War II over at the Battle of the Bulge, and was in that Band of Brothers group that the movie was based on, and he was injured at the Battle of the Bulge, suffering from frozen feet during that campaign where they were surrounded. He never talked about it, never would let on that he had done any of those incredibly and courageous things, and just like your husband, who's serving right now, who doesn't talk about it when we get to see him when he's here from Afghanistan. And send him my best when you talk to him.
Oh, I will, Dick. Thank you so much. Well, he asks about you all the time. I get the chills when I think about the sacrifice that your dad made, and am very appreciative for that generation's sacrifices.
Yeah.
And I would imagine growing up in a home where your father has such a sense of duty and honor that really kind of flows down, and you're surrounded by that as a child.
Well, I think that's a very good point. I think that you are, who your parents mold you and make you to be. And so when you look, what's so important in this election, and people are looking at what makes a good judge. You want people who are compassionate people. You want people who are moral people, people that are men and women of their word. And that's what was always impressed upon me by both my parents, by my mother and my father, and how important that was.
Why have you chosen to run for judge? Why now?
Well, I think it's the right time. I mean, as you know, when I first started to practice here, everyone had complete trust in our bench. It was revered. And when you went in a courtroom, you just felt that it was a place where you were going to get a level playing field. Well, we've been shot a real blow in this area due to all the corruption scandals that have gone on. So I think it's time, it's the right time in my career, and good people have to step up to the plate. And I know that when elected, I'll be able to go in and make a difference. And that people will know when they come in my courtroom, no matter who they are, no matter what walk of life they come from, that they will get a fair day in court. And that's really all the people want. They want to know they're going to be treated fairly, and that when they come in there, that they're going to get their day in court and get a fair one. So that's why I decided, we talked it over and decided I was going to run, and I ran 2 years ago and came in 3rd out of 17. And this time, thanks to all the voters out there, came in #1 on the Republican side, and over 11,000 Democratic votes put me in the top 4 out of 16 candidates in overall votes. So it's an exciting time, and I'm really, really pleased.
Well, congratulations on that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Attorney Dick Hughes. Welcome back to Storm Politics. I am joined today by Attorney Dick Hughes, candidate for Luzerne County Judge. Dick, what are your connections to the Hazleton area? Because I know you have some.
I sure do. Well, I grew up in Mountaintop, so Hazleton was always as easy to come to as going down to Wilkes-Barre, and plus my parents had a lot of friends, so I've known the area really, really well. But when I first came back after law school, I ran the Hazleton Legal Services Office 1 day a week, and that was terrific. Reacquainted me with the town. I got to do all my Christmas shopping over on Broad, and shop back then. Dice Ross was there, and all the other fine stores. Felons is still here, I know. So that was great, and worked here for many years. And then my wife and I went to church down here at St. Peter's. So 2 of our children were baptized in St. Peter's over on Laurel Street. So we have a lot of strong connections with Hazleton and love this city and this area.
Well, while we're on the topic of Hazleton, I think many in southern Luzerne County feel distant from the courthouse. How would you propose bringing more services to this side of the county, to this area, the Hazleton area?
I'm really glad you asked that. That's such an important thing for me. There are easy ways that the court system can, one, make itself more user-friendly, which I can get into after this question, but also help Hazleton. It's unfair to people in Hazleton to have to pay their lawyer to go all the way down to Wilkes-Barre to file documents and to present motions.
That's for sure. It's 1 hour down, 1 hour back in traffic.
You're right. And when 81 was torn up, it could be 4 hours.
Absolutely.
And so a very easy fix to the motion side of it is, and what I would be proposing on the bench would be that a judge comes down here, and I'll be happy to do it all the time, comes down once or twice a week in the early morning, and we could sit right here in this studio and have motions. I mean, you do need a small room is all you need. I'm sure we can get one donated to us, and you sit there and take motions from the lawyers in Lower Luzerne County. And what that will help the lawyers ease up their time, and will help the economics for the people of Lower Luzerne County. We did start, and there have been cutbacks now in the budget, and I'd like to get back to where we were, where you'd have actually the ability for the recorder of deeds to accept documents, that you could probate wills down here, and you could have the prothonotary. Now, some of those offices are going to be merging together under the new system with the home rule, and so we'll sort of see how that shakes out. But I think the goal should be to having a Lower Luzerne County courthouse like we've had, and have it staffed with enough people so you'll be able to accept the filing of documents down there, and that would really go a long way. And then in a perfect system, and hopefully we'll get there, maybe hold some hearings down here as well.
That sounds good by me, because let me tell you, I've needed an attorney or two in my day, as most people by the time they reach my age have, and it's hundreds of dollars more than it should be for those of us down here. We're really at a disadvantage. While we're on the topic of efficiencies and inefficiencies in the current system, what are some other inefficiencies that you'd like to get rid of in the system overall?
Well, I think it's probably a little early for me to comment completely on that, because you'd have to get in and really take a look at it and the system. But I do want to see the court go back to, as I stated a minute ago, being more user-friendly. When I first started practicing here, talk about motions hours, that's when lawyers will put together motions on behalf of their clients and have to go over and have a judge sign an order or get a rule returnable in the event they need a hearing or something. Motions hours were every morning, which they still are, although the length of time has been shortened, but they also were every afternoon. And there would be a half an hour in the afternoon when you could go and present a motion. And I know the court calendar is very busy, but I think every judge would be agreeable to eating their sandwich at the desk and having people come in the afternoon. And what that helps the system with overall is, if an emergency comes in, or if the lawyer needs time in the morning to work on something, they still have the ability to not wait till the next day, but in the afternoon bring that motion over. And I think there'll be general acceptance on that. I think we're going to see that as we've seen in the federal system, as we're starting to see in Luzerne County, as you analyze the court system with computerization, you probably will be able to streamline things significantly and to cut back on staff.
Dick, what is the message of your particular campaign?
My campaign is to put the right people on. This is an incredibly important time for Luzerne County. We're about to elect 6 judges that will make up the majority of the court, who in all likelihood will serve the next 20 years. So it's so important that everybody takes a good hard look at who the candidates are. My message is to bring a level playing field to the courtroom, and to put somebody in there, and I believe I'm that person, who has the experience to hit the ground running on day one. And that's really the message of my campaign. I'm ready to step up to the challenge. I'm ready to be a judge in Luzerne County, and I'm asking people for their support.
Well, that sounds reasonable, because as I said, as I opened the show, and I would encourage the audience to do that, look at where these folks went to school, look at how many years they've practiced law, look at, importantly, the breadth of experience in the law. You can't just have practiced in one area and be ready to be a judge. Look at whether they have courtroom experience or not. Don't vote because you know them, because you like them, or because of their gender. Vote for them because they deserve to be on the bench, because they are ready to be on the bench. What is the most challenging situation that a judge faces in a courtroom, do you think?
Well, that's a great question. I think that probably sentencings are something that are very challenging, because you've got the sentencing, especially the punishment must fit the crime. And so you've got to take a hard look at every case, though, because every case is going to be so different. And just because you're elected judge, this can't be a cookie-cutter approach. You've got to be compassionate, and you've got to look at the whole total picture. But when the crime is serious, you've got to be firm in your decision. You've got to be willing to make a very tough decision, which is to put someone away in jail if it's appropriate. And I'm sure those are difficult decisions.
Okay, well, Dick, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Storm Politics. Welcome back to Storm Politics. Dick, you've worked 2 terms in the Luzerne County District Attorney's Office. What changes have you seen?
Yeah, I'm sort of in a unique position there because I started, as I said, with Corey Stevens, and I worked under 3 administrations, and then in 1991 or 2 decided after my dad had died that I should work on my private practice, and we had young children, and I did. I was fortunate enough to come back under Jackie Carroll, who's a good friend of mine, invited me back to handle significant cases, and I was amazed at the escalation of the caseload in that period of time, going from the early 1990s to where we are today. We used to be a standard trial list for an assistant district attorney was 22 cases. Now we're at about 75 to 85 cases that we're carrying at all times. And gangs. We never used to have gangs. If we had a gang, it was news about a motorcycle gang was coming through on Route 81 or something like that. Well, now they're here, and it's the people of Hazleton know they're here. And I give the police unbelievable amount of credit down here in Lower Luzerne County and throughout the county as to what they have to deal with and the types of criminals they're dealing with. So it's been very interesting for me and given me a good look at what our county's like.
Can you tell the audience a bit about what are 1 or 2 of the cases that you're most proud of working on in your career?
Well, I'm proud of the legal services work I did. That was terrific down here. That was for the indigent, and there were a lot of great stories of people you got very close to in fighting for them. Probably the ones that stick out the most in my mind are the homicide work I've done, though, because I've been on those cases for so long. You get to know the victim's family very well in all those cases. You work side by side with the police. So I've been real proud of those. As you mentioned, most recently I had a first-degree conviction on a case down Commonwealth versus Fan down in Wilkes-Barre area, which involved the head of the Crip gang, basically assassinating a poor guy, and we were successful in that. And right now I'm working on the double homicide, as you said, here in Hazleton with Hazleton's own Danny Zoll, one of our up-and-coming stars in the DA's office. That's really rewarding work for me. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and so those would be the things that stand out as prominent cases for me, all of those homicide cases that I've worked on, and there are many others too, over 25 years.
What I think is interesting as well, as I was listening to you, you're talking about one of the things rewarding being helping with the indigent, and then some of the things you're most proud of working on these really tough murder cases. Mm-hmm. And to me, what one should look for in a judge is a combination of compassion and toughness. So I just find that interesting. Well,
I appreciate that. I think it is all about being well-rounded and having a well-rounded career that makes you ready for this position. And that's why now at this time in my life, I am absolutely ready to become a judge in Luzerne County.
If someone were to say Dick Hughes stands for blank, what would you say to fill in the blanks?
I would say honesty, integrity, a man of my word. Those are the things that my parents instilled in me, and that's what I'll bring to the court, and that's what our court needs. We have some wonderful judges on the bench right now, but we've gone through a very hard time, and the people want to trust the courts. They really do. They need to trust the courts. And you'll see now that we're working through this rather well, and we're going to put 6 good judges on that bench, and we're going to have a complete bench, and the trust in the system will come back. We're already seeing it coming back.
Can you tell me a bit about the personal side of Dick Hughes? Because sometimes we think about judges up on the bench, and we forget that you're human beings. Just tell the audience a little bit more about the fun side of Dick Hughes. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, everybody has to mix a little pleasure with their work and get a good balance. As we talked about, I've got a great family, and we love outdoors things. I'm an avid mountain bike rider, riding many times a week. I enjoy playing tennis with our son, whitewater rafting, hiking in the woods. Those are all things that depart. We ski through the winter. As I mentioned, Ruthie's from Mississippi, but she loves this area, the change in seasons. We have so much to do up here. So, once we are tired of skiing, then the weather breaks and we get all excited about going out in the woods, and then once it gets too hot, the weather breaks and we're back together. So I love life. You and I have been friends. We've had a chance to go out together and socialize, and and every day is a great day.
Well, and this man can dance too. I will say that.
Well, thank you.
A lady's always impressed by a man
with a
who can
good partner.
dance.
With a good
and
partner.
You can dance. And the other funny thing is, here my husband is. Right before my husband went off to Afghanistan, you were kind enough to invite him with your group of friends to go mountain biking with you. And big tough special ops guy, Staff Sergeant Olson, thought he was going to do so great. You guys left him in your dust.
Well, we'll see when he comes back from Afghanistan. He's a pretty tough guy. And we didn't offer to wrestle him or anything like that. We took him bicycling.
Well, no, I told you were supposed to injure him so he couldn't go.
You did mention that.
Yeah, but you've got too much honor to even do that for me, which just is great. Where can people, if they want to learn more about you, want to learn more about your campaign, where can they go to find out? Yeah,
we'd love for you to take a look. You can either call my law office at 570-331-8850 if you want to get involved with the campaign, or go to our website, Hughes2011.com, and or Google us. It'll come up. We have a Facebook page, and really, if you take a look, see who I am, and if you get interested, we'd really, we're a very inclusive group. We're wanting a bipartisan campaign, and would love to have more people involved.
Well, Dick, I'm just really appreciative that you came on today. Thank you so much. Just any parting words that you'd like to say to the audience?
Just that this is such an important election in so many areas, the judicial race, the fact that we're changing our government here in Luzerne County, and I just encourage people to get to know the candidates. Please tell everyone to get out the vote. Every single vote matters. It really does, and we're hoping for a big turnout in November, and I would appreciate it very much if you give me a vote.
That sounds great. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Tiff.
Yes, and I'd like to say to all of you, thank you for watching today. If you're not sure, if you understand what's going on around you, if you're not sure you're familiar with the candidates, read about them, learn about them. If you don't like what you see, don't complain about it, folks. Do something about it. Thank you for watching.